got to figure out this AirPod situation.
We do, bro. But look, check this out, bro. I got the perfect pop right here.
Bro, I was trying to tell you, but you couldn't hear me.
Oh, shit.
I was saying, nice mug you got there, bro.
Thank you, bro. Let me put that into the camera real quick.
Damn! Shout out to Angie.
Shout out to Angie for real.
She's been. I think Christian bought her this like design thing, so she's been, messing around, and so she was nice enough to hook us up there. So shout out Angie for hooking us up with some mugs, and these bad boys right here.
The micheladas, bro.
Yeah, but welcome to another episode of Playing Kidz Docucast series here. So this time we got one of Rudy's buddies from undergrad, right? From UC Davis. So Rudy, maybe talk a little bit how you ran into Richard and then a little background there.
Yeah, so I mean, Richard, I spent 2 years of my life living in the same room as him. So I know him decently well.
In and out, bro.
In and out, the ins and out, you know what I mean? And so yeah, we kind of just clicked. The moment we met in college, we just clicked. And he actually lives not too far from my mom, which is kind of crazy.
Quick question.
Go ahead, bro.
Where did you meet him, like at orientation, or like he was just one of your assigned roommates?
No, so I met him. He was in a program that I was in college too. It's called BUSP, and because he was a science major at first,
right?
And so before he switched, I met him in the program, and that's how we just clicked. You know what I mean?
Okay, got it.
It was pretty crazy. Like I forget who I was telling, but basically like that winter break after our first quarter of school, I went back home to Downey. I didn't know he lived in Norwalk. I go back home to Downey. I go to the mall. I'm walking in the mall, and I see him walking with his dad. I'm like, bro, what you doing in my mall, bro? Like, this is my mall. What you doing here, bro? He's like, what are you doing in my mall, bro? And basically, it turned out that he lived. It's the next town over, next city over, but like it's the same street. He lives off the same street as me. So.
Right.
Crazy.
Okay, so yeah, you and then he kind of told you that he wanted to be an astronaut, or how did that come about?
Oh yeah, he's basically gonna touch the moon with his bare hands.
It might be Mars, bro. It might be Mars.
Perhaps Mars, bro. If they have enough fuel to get back, he's down for it. You know what I mean? So he's really dope because like he's also pursuing what he believes he's supposed to do. You know what I mean? And the odds are very slim for him to become what he wants to be. But he's going in the right direction. He's grinding, and he came from his own struggles too. And so like now he's where he is, and it's crazy because you see constant elevation in people that if you believe enough and you follow your truth, bro, then you can make it to where you're trying to be.
Yeah, that was dope, bro. Yeah, that was a great conversation we had with him. Learning where he came from, his background, right? Similar to a lot of us, right? Normal folks that, you go through those struggles, right? First person in his family to go to college, kind of dad was in and out of the family, gangs with the, that kind of thing. And then he just kind of always had that mindset of I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it. So, right, went through college. Now he's an officer in the Air Force. He's going to be driving freaking fighter jets.
Navy.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he explained the difference there. But both of them had jets, and that's something I just never do.
He's excited because he gets to fly. He said he gets to fly off of the carriers, bro.
Right. Dude, that's so sick, dude.
That's pretty dope.
He's basically Top Gun, bro. He's Tom Cruise in Top Gun.
Basically, he's Top Gun. Well, he's not allowed to wear his shades yet. Remember, he's saying that.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil all this stuff, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So anyways, more to come and more details of Richard's story, but it was a fun conversation. Excited to provide this for everyone.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that's enough from us.
Enjoy the episode.
Peace.
Bramble. Like, who is that?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not what do you do, bro? Yeah. And you already talk a little bit about like, a little bit about your parents, because I feel like that ties a lot into who you are a little bit. So kind of where your parents came from, and then go from there.
Okay. Well, sorry parents, if you see this. Truth, bro.
I mean,
whatever
growing
you feel,
up,
yeah.
I would have to say, growing up, my parents gave me great opportunities. I mean, a lot of kids have sob stories leading up from like their youth up until, you know, my troubles didn't really start till like end of middle school, high school, when things started kind of rolling downhill a bit.
Right.
Finding out who I am, all that good stuff.
We all have that phase, bro.
We all have it, yeah. I don't know, so, yeah, like I said, my parents gave me everything, good opportunities, and fortunately for me, they always kept me in sports, and I love sports to death, man.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I loved playing football, and I played for the Norwalk Saints over here, and I mean, that's kind of where college and everything started for me.
Right.
Like, I love football, and I love USC, I love Reggie Bush, and I was like, man.
That's when you started thinking about
That's when I started thinking about college.
Yeah.
I was young, man. I don't know how old I was, maybe like 8.
He's like, I'm not there to go to school. I'm going to play some football.
That was the goal, you know, like growing up, and I would always tell my mom, I was like, I'm going to go to college, right? And no one in my family had gone to college before, so she was always like, oh, okay. And my grandma was like, okay, me and mom, yeah, we believe in you, you know, like. And,
so your dad never went to college, mom never went to college?
No, my mom, I never really asked her. She mentioned, I think she finished junior high. I don't think she finished high school though. Okay. Because I guess we'll jump into that, but she didn't have the best of upbringings, you know.
Right. Was she born here? Or
yeah. My family, we've been here for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of generations here in America at least.
Okay.
Like I think starting with my nana, so my great grandma. I think she came over when she was a little girl, or she maybe
from Mexico.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't asked too much about it, and she's dead now, so I can't really ask.
Okay.
I don't think my mom knows either because she never talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from
at some point, you guys.
At some point, yeah, we were in Mexico, yeah. Like I think the story goes like my great grandma, you know, so my nana was. I think it's a sad story. I think like some guy she didn't like got her pregnant, you know, through you know. Not reciprocated means. Like,
right.
But in, you know, Mexican, we're Catholics, most of us, right? Like,
so you had to live with that person?
So yeah, her family was like, you don't bring dishonor to us, right? Like, you married this person, right? And then took her to America, and then they had their life, and she hated him, and then eventually he died, and she was happy, and...
You got to move on with life.
Yeah, I heard my mom talk about it one time, and she was like, I'm glad you're dead, you know? I'm just
right.
She was free after that.
Yeah.
She was free, yeah, but kind of similar to how you're saying how your grandma came and started off family for you guys. I mean, that's what she did for us.
Yeah.
She got the ball rolling. She started working hard. She got a house in Norwalk. And that was the family house. You know, this is like the second house in our family that anyone's ever owned. So like there was where all family parties where everyone lived, you know.
Right.
And you know how it is. They pack the house like sardines. Everyone lives there, right?
Exactly, bro. Family party all the time.
Yeah, so like that's how it was growing up for her and my mom. Like she grew up in that, my grandma and all them. And then like I know my uncles and them and my aunts were all involved in like gangs and stuff. So it was like the gang house, the party house.
Right.
So that was kind of the environment my mom grew up in, and my aunts and uncles. And my grandma, she found someone else, another man that she married who, I mean, I call him grandpa. He's not my biological grandpa, but I love him to death. You know, he passed away too, but man.
So he was a great guy, and she actually loved him.
Yeah. And he cared for my mom and my aunts and uncles, and really helped them get up out of their life that they were in, you know. So like they were always struggling, yada yada, all that, and that was kind of the environment my mom grew up in, like drugs, gangs all around, and that's why she didn't finish high school, because she had to take care of her siblings. Like she had a younger brother, my Uncle David, and she was like, oh, I needed to work, I needed to take care of him, I need to take care of my family. And you know how it is when like you're young, you don't have money, and suddenly you're like, oh, I can work and I can make money, I can buy clothes finally, I can buy things I need, you know. So that's kind of what she did. That's why she didn't finish. Yeah, and then she was just like, I want to get out of there, I want to make a better life for myself. And she had my older brother, Michael, when she was 17, so, you know, she started off young, like most of our moms, right? How old were you guys' moms when they had kids?
My mom was younger. She was like 22, 23.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom
which
was
is old, younger than me right now, so.
But then,
younger than us.
Yes.
The older generation.
Dude, my brother was in gangs and all that too, and like he had his kid when he was 18. And my mom was actually happy that he did, because that actually made him flip the switch and like, holy shit, I have to start working.
Yeah.
So he dropped all that gang stuff, and then, you know.
Yeah.
The good thing is that he didn't just like leave his wife now, right? He actually stuck, and he took the responsibility, and you know, kind of like your mom, like he actually started working, started taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
And it kind of made everything better, I think, right?
And it provided you the opportunity so you can look around and be like, you know, you like football and you like
Yeah,
you were able to think.
You gave me these choices that my mom and my dad like didn't have growing up, you know?
Right.
So like so my mom, she always wanted to get out of there, and I think she was like maybe like 21, 22, she met my dad.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I have a lot of respect for him to come in to a family like that and problems they were having, and a son, you know, with no dad, like my older brother Mike, and take him in when he was so young and raise him as his own. Like, I have a lot of respect for the man. Even after he left, like, you know, I still got a lot of respect for all the things he did for my family.
Right.
You know, he didn't just help us, he helped my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, everyone, so.
Right.
Yeah, and on my dad's side, my great-grandparents immigrated from Germany and Italy. And then they came here and started up a life in like the 1920s-ish, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
They had a big family, and then, yeah. On my dad's side, I remember him telling me things weren't all that good. Like his dad used to beat him all the time and stuff.
Right.
So my dad doesn't believe in hitting us, so that was nice growing up, right?
Right.
My mom didn't believe in it, but my dad did.
Yeah. Not the case for our parents. I forgot who I told, but one thing my dad taught me is he showed me what the wrath of God was. He showed me at a young age. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so don't do bad things, because then God's gonna smite you.
Yeah. You learn your lesson though.
Exactly.
In moderation, it's
exactly in moderation.
Yeah. And so at that time when you were like in high school and you were like, you know, doing football, what did you have like a pretty decent relationship with your parents, or like?
Oh yeah, dude. We were super close. Always going to all the sport events together.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. I loved it. And then slowly, like my dad started. I think it was like a midlife crisis. You know, I don't know. Something happened. He just started getting really depressed. He was like coming home super late. Like we weren't really
drinking, or
maybe, I don't know. I was young at the time.
Right.
You know, and he was just like he was out of it. He wasn't here. You know. And then one day he sent my mom a text and was like, "Oh, you know, I can't do it anymore. I'm not coming back." Right. My mom called all my brothers in. She was like, "Hey, this is what your dad sent. Like, we gotta go on without him." You know. We're just like.
Like life goes on. Right?
Life goes on, but we're
keep
just
moving
like,
forward.
fuck, right? And then eventually he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come back," you know, like a week later.
Oh, a week later.
Then he comes back, but then, you know, at that point he was already checked out. Like, in my brother's eyes, it was like, "Oh, this is dad." Like, he's our dad. He and our dad.
Yeah. So you guys kind of lost respect from there. Like, you guys stopped, like, listening to him, like, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah. We were just like, get out of here then if you want to be here, you know?
Right.
But you've already said it once, like,
right.
Why change my mind? Like,
yeah.
Like, we already moved on a little bit, like. Anyway, so he left, and then, I mean, prior to that, there was a bunch of other things, like my grandparents passing away, and his uncle dying. So there was a lot of stuff that was rolling downhill for my family.
Right.
And then after that, like, I don't know, we lost the house. Like, thankfully we got this house back, but like we lost it. And we had to move over to Whittier for a while, me and my mom and my brothers. And like things were hard, you know, not money for food and things like that. And then my older brother, like, I love him to death because he, like, you were talking about gratitude for the things you have, you know, because like when shit was hard, he was the one working like at CVS, and like when my mom wasn't, like when she was in her room crying or something, he'd be the one that came in, like, I would get you some food or something, like.
Right.
So
he took the responsibility. He stepped into the shoes.
Yeah, like I respect my older brother more than anyone, probably.
Right.
Not in this family. I respect everyone. But
yeah, you know, you hold him up.
I hold him up, yeah.
Because like, he sacrificed. Right?
Yeah, he sacrificed.
And then through all that, you know, shit that was going on, like, how did that keep you motivated to like go to school? Or was it like your mentality? It's like, do I still want to go to college so I can have a better life, or like what was
I always knew that I wanted to go to college.
Okay.
And I wanted to go be something, and then.
You knew it was gonna make your life better.
Maybe. I never.
It just felt like the next step that you're supposed to do.
It just felt like the next thing I was supposed to do. I never had any reservations about it, and that was one thing my mom and them always joke about. They're like, "Oh man, Richard, you were so different than everyone else as a kid. Like, you always told us you were going to college. You always said, oh, I'm gonna be an astronaut. Like, oh, I'm gonna go do this. Like, she's like, and so far, she's like, you've done everything you said you were gonna do." And I was like, yeah. It's not weird to me because I've always planned to do it, you know. So like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm a pretty highly motivated person.
And
so when you first went into college, did you know? Were you already like sure of like what, like when you first entered college? Were you already like sure of like what you wanted to do?
I mean, alright. So I knew I wanted to be an astronaut, but I had no clue how I was gonna do it.
Okay.
I didn't really know much about college because no one in my family had gone.
Yeah.
I thought there was like 5 things you could do in college. I thought there was physics, math, English, like history. You know, I thought there was like only 5 things, and everything just kind of branched off from that. Like,
it's like where's astronaut school?
Yeah.
Which category does it fall in?
Yeah, and they didn't really teach us anything here at Santa Fe about it. Which, or maybe they did. Santa Fe don't hate me for it, but I didn't know about it. Like, yeah, I mean, and I was a good student, but I wasn't the best.
Right.
And I guess talking about luck and chance, like there was this teacher there, this English teacher. She passed away now, but like one day I was stressed out. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get to college. I want to go. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And I went to the library one day randomly, and this lady sitting there, and she looks up at me and she was like, "Hey, you want to go to college?" And I was like, "Yeah."
What was like the moment when you knew you wanted to be an astronaut? Was it like a movie? Was it like, what was that movie? It's Apollo whatever.
Oh, Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
No.
Bruce Willis, bro.
Bruce Willis.
That's
That's the core, bro.
Is it the core?
I think maybe.
It's when he tries to blow up the fucking the meteor.
Oh, Armageddon?
Armageddon! I remember seeing that at your house in Hollister back in the day.
Back in the day, bro. But yeah, what was the first thing that you feel like, I don't know that?
I mean, I would always look up at the stars. Like, I probably spend most of my time at night walking with my head up than down, you know?
Okay.
Like, if you were to average all my time, I'd probably be looking up at the stars way more than anybody else on the planet. But I'd say one big moment, because, like, my family, we never, like, sat here growing up, like, watching the space shuttle launch and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, I knew it was happening, but I didn't really know much about it. But I just thought it'd be a really cool job, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then one day in high school, they were transporting the Endeavour space shuttle to the LA Science Center, I think.
Mm.
And I was in high school one day, and I seen the shuttle flying overhead, and I was just like, fuck. I was like, I'm gonna fly that one day. Like, if I could, like, that's awesome. That's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then another time that really just drove it home that I really loved space a lot was I was here for Christmas a couple years ago, and SpaceX did a launch, and they didn't like tell anyone about it. So I just like blasted off into space, and my mom started freaking out. She's like,
fucking aliens.
She's like, no, she was like, North Korea. She's running outside, and she's like, everyone inside. I'm like, what's going on? And I looked, and I see the rocket going off, and it was just the coolest thing.
Damn. Okay. So you get to college now, and you're in the process of like figuring out how to get to space.
Yeah. So that was a tough process.
Okay.
So I tried different things. So there's different ways you can be an astronaut. At least from the way I understand it, like you can be a microbiologist, you can be just a biologist, you can study chemistry, electrical engineering, you can be a doctor, you can be a geologist. You know, you can study a whole bunch of different things.
Just science related.
Science related, yeah. Or even right now they have Johnny Kim, who's a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Then went to Harvard.
He was a doctor, yeah.
Right, like.
Dude, Johnny Kim's a
freaking
crazy,
like,
bro.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of what they do in the astronaut corps is when you do get selected and you're there, they basically baseline everyone out on like they put everyone kind of on the same page. Like you're getting schooled in everything.
Right.
Like if you were a pilot, all right, we're gonna send you to geology school. We're gonna send you to this, right? Everyone needs to be kind of on the same page.
Right.
So like right now, like in the Navy, we have astronauts coming to fly the T6s with us, and there's one right now, VT-27 with me. Her name's Nina Cardman, and she's super awesome. She's super cool. But yeah, so and she's a microbiologist, I believe. So like she got picked up. She finished her astronaut candidate school stuff. Now she's an astronaut. And then they're like, all right, now you need to go get pilot experience.
So it's like many roads that lead to where you might want to go in the future.
All roads pretty much lead there, you know.
So is the general process okay? So college, then military, then.
Well, what's the route you took?
That's the route I'm taking right now.
So what was your major in college? Like what was the route that you took? So how did that?
When I first joined, I was biochemistry. Granted, I didn't know what that was because I only thought that there was biology and like physics, and so I was like, all right, biology, what the hell's biochemistry? All right, I'm gonna do that. Like I picked one because like suddenly there's a laundry list of things to choose on the application, you know. And I thought undecided would look bad, so I was like, all right, boom.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor, and that's where I met Rudy.
So you thought you were gonna be a doctor?
I thought I was gonna be a doctor first. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do because in high school I really liked diseases.
Yeah.
Like this coronavirus stuff, you know, like. Yeah, I used to study mosquitoes in high school for like a year. I did this internship, and we'd go all over catching them, hunting them, testing them. Like, it was awesome.
Mosquito hunter.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Okay, that's cool.
And so I was super into diseases, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go study diseases and go be a doctor, and then I'll go, apply to be an astronaut. So I was doing that, and then I realized I really hated chemistry.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really taken any bio classes yet, but I was like, man, this probably isn't for me. And then I looked into the Air Force ROTC program, so I was like, oh, okay, you can be a pilot. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, that you can be a pilot. And then
that makes sense. You drive a plane.
That's a lot.
A lot of the astronaut history, right? There's a lot of pilots. I mean, that's how they started the original 7.
That makes sense.
X9, like most of them were military test pilots. Like all of them pretty much were in the beginning, and even now, like the latest astronaut class, I think like 4 or 5 of them are pilots too. So I was like, oh, this seems like a good track record to go. And for the most part, I'm starting to see that, they really develop that mindset you have. Like, you need to solve your emergencies like that. You need to know your emergency procedures. You need to know your checklist. You need to know all the important things to save your butt,
Right.
So I think it's a good choice. Military really gives you that experience, which is why, like, Zena Cardman, now she's done with all that. They're sending her to the Navy to get that experience. Like, hey, you need this, mindset when you're up there, like.
Right.
So that's the whole point of sending them to get it. So I'm gonna have to do it now or later. Like, I might as well do it now.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I did Air Force ROTC. I joined that. I dropped out of the bus program that I met Rudy in.
That's right.
Yeah, so that was cool.
It was a beautiful
friends,
thing,
though.
though.
Yeah, I made some good friends there. I dropped out of that, and I was like, I'm gonna go be an engineer. And then I didn't have the classes or the GPA switch right away, so I had to wait a long time. I just kept taking the classes on the side, hoping that one day I'd eventually be able to switch into it. And then eventually I switched into like civil engineering because that was the closest thing I could get to. And so I was doing the Air Force ROTC. I was trying to switch into that. Air Force ROTC, I made some great friends. I made some that also want to be astronauts, and we still keep in touch. And they're in pilot training in the Air Force right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so Honshu, shout out to you. But yeah, we're good friends. And, yeah, hold on. Let's see. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Air Force ROTC, in my opinion.
Why?
I know the ROTC unit or the detachments are different at every school and stuff, but with this particular one, it just kind of felt like we would show up and play patty cake. And,
it was like bullshit.
Yeah, it felt like it to me. Yeah. Like, it didn't feel.
You didn't feel like it was moving you forward.
Yeah, and it wasn't at my university, so we'd have to drive like carpool to another university or like take a bus, like, and it was just a big
what the
thing.
fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
It just took a while to get there, and then I was like, damn, I got all my engineering classes back at school, and like this is taking up time.
Right.
Like, so I was like, man, I don't think this is a good idea. And then there's a retired astronaut that works at UC Davis, who's the head of the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering Department, and his name's Stephen Robinson. And this dude, he's an astronaut. One of my idols, one of my heroes, obviously, right? Like, and he got to fly to John Glenn too when they brought John Glenn back up, which is pretty awesome. So I've always wanted to ask him.
Don't know who John Glenn is, but I'm assuming he's famous.
He's the first American to orbit Earth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
a big deal.
Big deal. Yeah, big deal, man. And then he was a senator as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there's even a school right down the street named John Glenn here.
Dude, after being the first human to do that, or American, like, you can do anything.
That's kind of how it was. Like, when he first orbited, America threw huge parades. We're fighting the Soviets in the Cold War, right? Like, we're doing it. We're making it.
Exactly.
So like in the beginning, spaceflight was a lot about like Cold War mantra, and like we gotta beat the Russians,
Right. Like nationalism too, huh? Like a lot of
like communism and stuff. Like.
So it's good. I mean, it's good to have that. Kind of like in football too. If you don't have like a rival, like you don't train as hard.
Rival builds progress.
That rivalry definitely builds progress. So it sends us to the moon.
And we're gonna be going back soon.
Exactly. We're gonna be at Mars at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna be there first. So.
Dude, if we can get back, I'd love to.
If there's a way to get back,
don't sign me up for the one-way ticket.
Exactly.
The way I look at it, if we find life, great, and like if we get to explore a new planet, awesome. But I mean, look at Earth; it's beautiful. Like,
it's beautiful.
There's so many places.
Compared to Mars, I think I choose Earth. Actually,
there's so many places here I haven't seen either. Like
it's true.
There's so much here I haven't seen.
Before we get to another planet, let's explore Earth first. I think it's a good. So
so I was in Air Force ROTC. I dropped out. mainly one reason that influenced it is because I talked to that retired astronaut about it, and I was like, hey, Professor Robinson, like he did this like cool lecture one day where like he showed us videos of him launching off and stuff. And I was telling him my plan. I was like, oh, I'm in the Air Force RTC. I'm trying to be a pilot, like, and I want to get my engineering degree too, And he was like, oh, he's like, you want to be a pilot? He's like, oh, they're good for us cleaning our toilets in space, right? And I was like, what a I was like, but man, this guy knows it. He's been there. Yeah. I don't know anyone else.
You're getting advice from someone.
I'm getting advice from an astronaut. I'm like,
he's an OG, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, well, this is not the kind of astronaut that I would be.
Yeah.
So I dropped out and I went to engineering, and I finally got into the aerospace engineering department, and I started focusing on that. I worked in some labs, and I got a job as a mechanic or a bus mechanic, and I loved it. I had a great time, and college was nice. And then I started missing that. I still really wanted to be a pilot too, So I was thinking about doing that again, and then I read this book by Chris Hadfield. He's another NASA astronaut.
Okay.
But he's from Canada, so he flew like jets for Canada. Then he went to test pilot school at Edwards here in America, and then he got selected to be an astronaut for the Canadian Space Agency. And this man was awesome. And I read his book, and he's doing all these amazing things in space. He got to command the ISS. He got to do all these awesome things. And I'm like, well, what's Professor Robinson talking about? Like, this man's doing all these
this
great things.
This guy ain't scrubbing no toilets.
It's like he had an engineering degree, and then he went and got his master's. And I'm like, okay, like I can do that. Like I have a double right now. I have a double major in aerospace and mechanical engineering. I'm like, I'm partially there.
Right.
I got into pilot school now. I'm in flight school right now. I have like a year and a half left till I get my wings. I'm like, all right, I'm like it.
Yeah.
I don't know what Robinson's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect him because he's been there, he's done it. Like.
Yeah.
But man, really, it hurts a kid when you hear that from your hero. So anyways, I dropped, and then I read this book, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go be a pilot again.
Yeah. So you're gonna go to the Air Force, or?
I was looking into it because that's where I was at first.
Right.
And then I realized, oh, Navy has planes too.
Okay.
And they launch
I didn't even know.
Yeah, and they launch off aircraft carriers.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty sick. A moving runway on the water. Like,
yeah.
That's awesome. And so I was like, you know what, that sounds way cool. And then they get to travel on the ocean. Yeah, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it always led back to being an astronaut.
And so you finish college and you want to be in Navy's the way to go.
Yeah, so I applied for that like my fourth year, I think, of college.
Okay.
And our fourth or third year, I think it was third year. But yeah, so I had to start applying for officer candidate school then, or at least I thought I had to, so I was like applying for it. Then I got picked up for it, and it was just dependent on me graduating. So like it worked out. I was like, oh sweet, I got it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Rudy remembers I was right there studying like in between my classes all the time because they make you take like certain standardized tests to apply for it. Which they weren't super difficult, but they were still.
Especially after going through freaking aerospace engineering.
Yeah, I mean it's just like doing it on the side, but like I mean it was doable and like it's important stuff. I had to relearn it all again later, anyways. But yeah, everything led back to being an astronaut. Even when I considered not doing the pilot thing anymore, I was like, I'm gonna go be an engineer. I was like, I'll go build rockets for SpaceX. I don't know. I'll go do something, and then I'll go get my master's, and then I'll go apply because you can apply through the civilian route or the military route, man.
Right.
And I guess that's one of the nice things about my dream, right, is it leads me down so many different paths that you can take. It's not like a closed-ended dream,
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to get there.
Yeah, and motivation-wise, I've never lost it.
Right.
Like, I've had plenty of friends that tell me they want to do big things with their life, and then, like, they just kind of lean off of it, like, oh, I think I'm going to go do this instead.
Right. Do you think, like, that kind of, like, the hardships in your upbringing kind of gives you that little boost, too? Or where do you think you get the boost from?
I feel like they definitely give me motivation to want to help and give back to my family a bit.
Right.
Like, and now that I'm in a position where I have money and I have a stable job, like, I can finally give back to the people that helped me get here. So there's a lot of gratitude there. And, like, I saw all the hardships that we had to face and all that stuff, and I'm like, man, I never want to do that to my kids. When I do get to have them one day, I never want my family to have to go through that. Like, like my little cousin, she's at UC Davis now. Like, the second one in the family.
Sweet,
so, like, it feels good.
And she probably looked up to you.
Yeah, like I took her to my graduation last year.
Beautiful.
And like for me, it makes me feel really good. Like
makes me feel proud, bro.
Yeah, it's like all right, I left like a path that's opened up for my family. Like we're gonna make it out. We're gonna do big things now.
Exactly.
So it feels really good. And all the hardships like my mom talks about, and that we went through and everything definitely makes me feel grateful for the things I did have and the opportunities I did have. Even when things were crappy, like they still weren't as bad as they could have been.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of like we were talking. Remember we were talking on the way here. I was like, dude, the hero's journey. It's not a hero's journey if it's an easy path, dude. What makes it worth it is like you went through those struggles and you like overcame them, you know?
Yeah.
And when you look back, you're like, holy shit! It's like.
Yeah, and it's the mindset, you know, like, cause you could have been like, nah, I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All this other stuff, but you were like, nah, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like that's one reason Rudy and I got along so much. Is like I feel like we both had this fire in us that like no matter what, it was always there.
Yeah. It was always Like,
and I feel like some people don't have it, and when I see people that don't have it, it hurts me because I'm like, dude, I wish you did. It feels so good.
It's like that potential, right?
The potential, dude. Like, you know you're gonna be someone no matter what. Like
exactly.
And I feel like that's the best mindset to have. And I understand that not everyone makes it in the world.
Yeah.
Life's not fair. Life's a little cruel sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, and you can work the hardest in the room and still not get it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the gist of it. Like for me being an astronaut, I'm very well aware of the chances.
Right.
The recent astronaut class in 2017, I think 18,000 people applied and they selected 10 or 12. I forget the number.
Yeah.
But like, dude,
it's tough.
That's a tiny number.
It's a tiny percent.
All you can do is put yourself in the best position to be successful for yourself. You know? And for me, like, in trying to be an astronaut, I am doing that for myself. So if I do fall short, I'm still gonna be proud of myself.
Oh hell yeah!
Like look at me now, I'm in a pilot school.
Yeah,
in the Navy.
You took the action, you made the leap of faith, and you like you dove in head first, dude.
Yeah,
like, you know.
Yeah, it was kind of hard making that choice to go to like the military though, because like I mean,
every
girl that I've ever tried to date has all told me kind of the same thing, like. Distance is gonna break us apart. Like you're gonna be gone a lot. Like you're trying to be an astronaut, you're gonna be gone even more. After that. Like,
you're gonna be in space. How am I gonna get a hold of you? Dude?
Like Rudy knows. Summer. Yeah. She gave me this ultimatum when I applied for the Navy thing again. She was like, "All right, Richard." She was like, "I'm gonna go to med school, which is good for her ambition. I love it. Go do it, right?" She was like, "But I don't want to do long distance." She was like, "If you get the pilot job, I'm gonna break up with you." Got the pilot job? She broke up with me.
Did you think maybe she'll change her mind?
Yeah, alright, like, I guess she broke up with me a little bit before that. But it was like, that was a big reason. You know, like I think she knew that I was going to get it, and she always told me, like, I knew you were going to get it. Like, But yeah, when she gave me that ultimatum, I was like, damn, I was like, this might be a lonely road. Like,
oh, dude.
And it just keeps happening, you know? Like, I was with my ex now, but we met in OCS and then it's Officer Candidate School, and we met in flight school in Pensacola when I was in Florida. And things were going great. And I went to Corpus Christi, Texas for my next phase of training. She had to stay there, and then she was like, you know what, distance and stuff.
It's not gonna.
Oh, and some other external things, but she was like, I want you here with me, and that can't happen, you know?
That was one of the big moves.
That was one of the big things, and like, we're talking again, but like, and that's still there, right?
Point is it's rough.
It's rough.
Anyways, it's a off topic.
It's important though. You gotta dig into some of these things. It's important to consider.
I was watching a Will Smith interview or whatever, and he was saying like the road to your dreams is a lonely, solitary, dangerous something road, and I'm like, bro,
this is exactly what you're describing.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I don't regret a single choice though. I mean, I'll give it up again in a heartbeat. Like. I leave my family behind too to go out and do these things. Like
exactly.
Like that was one thing my mom told me in high school. Like, cause we're having a rough time, our family and stuff, and she knew I wanted to go away to college, but I was considering maybe staying local to help out my family if I could. And she was like, Richard, she was like, no matter what, she's like, it's okay to leave us behind, like for the time being. Like
we're always gonna be here.
Yeah, we're always gonna be here. She was like, but you can't like restrict yourself to us. Like she's like, I know you have big dreams and you want to do these things.
Right.
Go ahead and leave us behind. Like one day you'll be back and we'll be happy and we'll always be proud of you, you know?
Right.
So like that's kind of how it was, and it still is. I mean, I'm glad I get to come home now. Like for this holiday break, it makes me feel good. And then like I can help and give back. At least for Christmas, like I want balls out this Christmas on gifts. It's my way of trying.
Yeah, I saw the wrapping paper. I was like, damn. Dude. Dude, Richard getting down.
There's no presents under the tree yet, but so when I wrap them, they will be.
There's no trees under the presents either, bro.
That is a fact. So let's go to officer school, bro. After college, you got into it. You got in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, couldn't be with Summer. That was the next step. But what was that like?
That sucked. I mean, it could be worse. You could have went to the Marine OCS and their TBS. I heard that's not very fun.
Were you scrubbing toilets with a toothbrush? Is that a real thing?
I mean, you could, because like they do inspections and you have to clean everything really good. So like toothbrush had its applications definitely getting the hard-to-reach places.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think I ever resorted to using the toothbrush.
But it's not entirely a myth. It does happen.
Oh yeah, dude. Like at least they're. I'm not gonna talk crap on it, maybe. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
Right.
I mean, it was rough, but I mean, when I left there, I remember thinking to myself, I'm a lot stronger than I think I am.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when you hit your wall, there's, like, you're nowhere near it.
Well, what kind of things would make you hit your wall?
Like, physically, like, alright, so mentally, like, you're always doing academic stuff when you're there. Like, you're always learning something. They give you, like, these different gouge packets of knowledge. Gouges, like, or knowledge, like, things you have to learn. And like it's a lot, and it's kind of dense, and you're just like, oh, what? Like I got 3 weeks to learn all this, like, and I'm doing all this other schooling stuff, like. Right. And then when they do test you on it, it's like in a high stress environment. Right. So like one of the events like one of the events is called RLP. It's like room locker personnel inspection, and you have to clean your room perfectly, and you have to. There's like this big book that's like the rules of OCS kind of like.
Like how a clean room is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like alright, your room needs to be like this. Your bed, everything needs to be like. The fold needs to be this many inches, it needs to be this clean, it needs to be tucked in this specific way, it needs, your desk, the papers better be on it this way, like, we better not find a speck of dust, like, your bed better be this far off the wall, like, like, everything is like, your towels better be folded this way like this, and everything needs, like, your initials on it in a certain spot, so, like, if you have shorts, you have to make sure to, like, you have to stamp them. They give you like a stamp thing. Like, when's the first time using a stamp? You know, like,
so you're just like always paranoid. I feel like it's like, did I do this shit right?
Absolutely. Like, there's some people that know how to game the game. Good on them. Like, if you
play the game, baby.
Play the game, yeah, cool. Like for me, like I tried playing the game, and then they rolled me back 3 weeks. For I'm not gonna say why. Anyways, they rolled me back 3 weeks, and from that moment on, I was like, all right, 12 more weeks. Oh no, like. Yeah, 12 more weeks. I gotta be on my A game. I gotta be paranoid like that.
Yeah.
Paranoid officer is a good officer. That's how I describe it.
Okay.
If you're always thinking what can screw me over, like
is that a motto in the officer school?
No, it should be.
That's your motto. Say it again for the camera.
Yeah.
I forgot what I said.
That's like paranoid officer's a good officer.
Yeah, paranoid officer's a good officer, man. If you're like at home and like you're looking at your uniform. And you see a string hanging and you cut it because you're like, no one's going to yell at me today. Like, you look at the regulations to make sure it's spot on before you leave the house. You're like, no one's going to yell at me today. Like, and that's how I always am. And that's how I was at LCS, and I hated it. Because, you know, you're stressed out. Like, all the time, you're just like,
yeah. They have to get you.
They have to get you, you know. And then, like, that inspection, like, you have, like, all this knowledge that you have to know. And you have to, like, recite it verbatim while they're making you, like, screaming at you, tearing your room apart. Like, they'll grab your bed and everything, just toss it across the room. They'll grab your fake rifle and just like they'll stand in front of your face and be like, oh.
And then you're just kind of like
you're trying to sense. Well, you're doing exercises. You're doing burpees like as fast as you can, bicycle kicks as fast as you can, like your push-ups as fast as you can. Like
you have to remember what.
Yeah, you're huffing and puffing for like 15 minutes. You're like going balls to the walls, and you're reciting knowledge that you have to remember, and it's just like, you know, things like that really stress you out. Like, I'm glad I know that information now because it's important being an officer. But like, I feel like you didn't have to teach us that way. But anyways, I see the point. You know, I feel like flight school is kind of like a lot of knowledge thrown at you, so I kind of get the vibe. It's similar to that. And if you're in an emergency, like knowing how to recite everything that you need to know.
Be calm and collected.
Calm and collected, yeah. Like, they're kind of like desensitizing you, if that makes sense.
Right, that makes
sense.
They
break you down, they build you up, and then
it makes you stronger, bro. It makes you
dude. Like I said, when I left there, I realized that I'm way stronger than I think.
Like, when you're playing, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if it's going down, like, you're calm and collected, and you're going through the protocol. And, like,
there's a way to say it.
Have you graduated officer school?
Yeah, I graduated November 27th, 2019. And that was when I earned my commission as an officer in the United States Navy.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, Navy.
Just gonna give you
absolutely.
So you graduated officer school and then you applied to.
So I applied.
School?
I applied for flight school prior to OCS. Like, when you apply for officer school, you have to apply for what you can do.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is one of the perks of officer school. Because if you're an ROTC, you put in like a list of 5 preferences. And then like the Navy or the Air Force, whoever's like, no, you're gonna be, you're an engineer, you got good grades, let's put you in a sub, you know, like. So like they like don't have as much of a say. Yeah, like they can put the preference, but it doesn't mean much. And then the academies, I think the same way too. Right. So that's the perk of OCS is we had our normal college life. We had a lot of fun, and I guess slight disclaimer. I don't think we mentioned it. But Rudy was my roommate in college, and one of my best friends. Thing. Yeah, beautiful thing. Good times. My mattress is still on the floor.
Oh, I wish mine was. I'm not even gonna lie. I wish mine was.
Yeah.
I really do actually. Yeah. It's good. I slept on the floor last night.
You did.
Yeah, I still like it's habitual. Yeah. Anyway, good.
Anyways, yeah. So I had already applied for flight school. So when I finished officer school,
just straight in.
Yeah. Well, I got a little break. They do this thing called OHARP where you go work at a recruiting station. So I went here to LA. And I worked there for like 2 months. So I got to be here for the holidays last year, which was nice. Yeah, and then February I went and I drove to Florida for my next training. And then from there, the ball just got rolling. And yeah, now I'm still in training and I'm still learning.
So you're in pilot school right now?
I'm in flight school.
So you moved from Florida to
Corpus Christi, Texas.
Okay.
For the phase, yeah.
So there's different phases of flight school.
Yeah. So when I was in Pensacola, it's called the Aviation Pre-Flight Indoctrination. I hate that word indoctrination. It makes me feel terrible.
Yeah, it is.
But it just has a bad ring to it. But yeah, I was there for that. And this other program they had called IFS, Initial Flight Screening. So that's pretty cool. Like I got to fly a little Piper. Piper around. It's a small plane.
Okay.
Like civilian side pretty much.
Like a little propeller plane? Or?
Yeah, a little propeller plane. And you have a little ground school for it. You learn like the civilian rules of flying around. Like the federal aviation regulations.
So you can't wear your aviators and your
bomber
jacket?
You're in civilian clothes for that, yeah.
What was it like the first time flying a plane though, bro?
It was
shit your pants, bro?
A little bit?
It was a little boring.
Was it really?
Bro.
I feel like the landing is so
there's certain phases of flying that are exciting, and then there's certain phases that it's like, man, this is like just cruising on the highway, you know?
Right. But it never hits you. It's like I'm like in the fucking air. I can just like.
Dude, it's awesome. That view from up there and everything's awesome, and being in control, like it feels good. Like the more I started flying, the more excited I got about it. Like, God, this is really cool. I can do this, you know? Like this isn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be. And then there's certain phases of flight that require a lot of thinking, a lot of like, I don't know, simultaneous like things that you're doing. It's like landing phase is definitely a big, like when you're in the pattern, it takes like you gotta make certain radio calls, you have to make sure you're in certain configurations with your plane. So like there's certain
I'm sure that shit's hardwired in your brain at that point.
Eventually, it will. Like right now I'm learning those for the new plane that I'll be flying, and so like, slowly they're pretty much hardwired in my brain.
Right.
Yeah, so there's certain phases that are really exciting, and I think it's funny because like I applied to be a pilot without ever flying before. Yeah. And that's how it is for a lot of people, which is why they have the screening program. Because there's people that get up there and they hate it. Right. They absolutely hate it, and they're just like, this isn't for me. Like I'm gonna drop off requests and I'm gonna like go do something else for the Navy, you know. So, thankfully for me, I didn't have that. I got up there and absolutely loved it. Like originally I thought it was a little boring, but that was because the first time I went flying, it was in like an old World War II plane called what was it?
That fly really likes you.
It does.
He's talking about fly on the aviation.
On the aviation, he's like self-powered. Yeah, it was chill though. I really enjoyed it, and thankfully I did. And now I'm.
So eventually, are you gonna drive like a fighter jet? Because that would be sick.
So yeah, it depends on what happens in this next phase of training. So I'm in the next phase right now. I'm in. It's called primary school, and they fly the T-6B. And that one's a pretty sporty airplane from what I hear, and just looking at the engine parameters on it, it seems like
it's going to be a jet or is it like a plane?
It's a propeller. It's a turboprop.
Okay.
Yeah, so it goes fast, and I'm excited flying it. But depending how well I do in this curriculum, when it's all said and done, maybe like 5 or 6 months from now, I'll get like an overall grade, and then you select for what you want. So like the Navy has like maritime, they have helicopters, they have jets, and so you kind of pick what you want to fly, like in one of those sectors, and then it's kind of like, all right.
Based off your grade?
Based off your grade, yeah. At least I think Jets is alone with the grade restriction. I think you have to get like above a 52 score out of like 80 or whatever it is to apply for Jets. Okay. And then not everyone gets them. It's pretty hard to get them. Yeah. So
it's expensive equipment there.
Yeah, and the question everyone loves asking us is, what do you want to fly? And I feel like that's hard because the only thing I've ever flown is a Piper so far. So
You don't have very many.
I don't know. F-22
like,
looks pretty sick though, not gonna lie, bro.
That's Air Force though. We have the F-18s, we have the Super Hornets, and the F-35s now. Those are the brand new planes.
Okay.
Those ones seem cool.
And so every phase, are people getting filtered out?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely every phase.
That's
you lose people.
So it's primary. Do you feel like the primary school is like difficult, or what do you feel about it right now?
So far, I don't think it's been super difficult, but that's just because I think I went to college for something a lot more difficult.
You're prepared.
So like when I compare this stuff to college, I'm like I'm working hard, but it's like the material's like a quarter difficult. Like the difficulty level of information is like a quarter of what it was in college. So like, it's a lot of work, and I have to keep putting in a lot of hours throughout the day. But it's like, okay, I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
And like the simulator events can sometimes be a little, because that's the phase I'm in Sims right now, and sometimes they can be a little challenging, just getting all the information down. Just because you're doing other stuff on the side too, like maybe you have like a 12-hour watch, and then they'll put you on the sim the next morning, and you're just like, man, I didn't really have much time to study for it, like, and you're trying to get your sleep because like, you know, if you're in there and you're tired, you just kind of, you're not as good.
Is pilot school like for each like school in the military? Is it both male and female put together?
Yeah, it's co-ed.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a ton of female student naval aviators. That's what they are in the Navy.
Right.
But I mean, they're there. I wish there were more of them. And like I know when I was in OCS, we had a lot of S&As, so student naval aviators at OCS who were girls.
How did that work out?
It was
is it like,
what do you mean?
You know, like what was the dynamic? Because I'm sure there's like dating going on. What is the policy?
No, there's no dating. No fraternization whatsoever. No like contact with officers. Well, I mean, you can contact with them, but like, dude, don't flirt, don't do anything. Yeah. Right? The paranoid officer's a good officer.
Exactly. You're not successful. I'm sure people slip up, like you said. Some people play the game.
A couple people would slip up when I was there, but they always caught them, man.
Right.
Yeah, so you know, be careful about that. But once you get out of officer candidate school and you're an officer, I mean, if they're the same rank as you.
It's fair game.
Pretty much fair game, right? If they're above you, I mean, I'm paranoid. Paranoid officer is a good officer.
I stay away from that.
If they're enlisted, stay away, right? Like that's unless you were with them before it all happened. Like I have some friends.
Enlisted means that they're like the lower rank, right?
Yeah, I mean, but then like their experience level is way more than yours. Like
okay,
because they've been in like so they go to their boot camp like. Mm-hmm. A lot of them even have college degrees too, you know, they just were like there's a lot of people that want to be Navy SEALs. Yeah. Out of college, like, I'm going to go be a SEAL, you know? So they went to Kidz, something happened, they broke their back, they hurt their knee, like, they couldn't make it, and now they have to go be an enlisted person somewhere, so. Right. Or even I don't know, but, like, their rank goes up too, like, if I see, like, an E7, they're a chief, and I'm just an ensign, I'm an 01, like, they've been in for, like, 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of curious about too, because I have heard some things, but like in terms of if you're an officer because you went to college versus like you're just an enlisted guy that has all this experience, how's that dynamic play out?
Yeah, I'm just some scrub in the Navy without experience, like if that makes sense. I mean,
you have like these SEALs, like you said, that are just fucking been in there forever.
Yeah, the dynamic. I mean, according to the rules, you outrank them. Right. I outrank them. Someone who's been in for 20 years, I outrank them. Right. I don't think it makes much sense, but I mean that's how the officer ranks work. They like keeping their discipline and their order. You know, chain of command. That's kind of how it is. I mean, the sooner you learn to just operate, that's just the way it is. I mean, the easier life is in the military. I feel like.
Yeah. So. There's like those unspoken rules, right? Like.
Kinda, yeah.
Don't question, just move.
I mean, you need to have a questioning attitude. That's one of the things about being an officer, but like at the same time, like. You have to address it to the right people in the right way, with tact.
Exactly.
You gotta be tactful with the way you say things.
Yes.
Like, you could offend someone, and then suddenly it's like your job's on the line. Like now they wrote it down somewhere like Ensign so and so's a little, you know,
piece of shit.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what's next, Richard? What's your next phase?
So right now primary is my main focus, and then once I finish there. I'll pick what I want, and then no matter what I pick, I'm gonna find a way to be an astronaut. I mean,
okay. So I guess how much do you have left of flight school until you're done with that?
maybe like a year and a half.
A year?
Depends. Like if I pick jets, I think the schooling's a lot longer. So it might be like a year and a half to 2 years maybe.
Okay.
And the other ones might be a year from now or something. But yeah, I'll move somewhere new for all of them, except for the maritime. I'll stay there in Corpus for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you apply to NASA school or whatever that is.
Yeah. So once I get the credentials, so according to the recent applications that came out, you need a master's degree. You obviously need your bachelor's degree. I guess you don't need the master's. So you need master's or a master's equivalent. So if I went to test pilot school for the military, which is an option when I get to shore tour. So I'll start applying for that, or I forget what year, but I'll start applying for test pilot school. And then I think that schooling's like 1 or 2 years. But once you finish that, you get a master's degree equivalent. So you can either have a master's or this test pilot school accreditation. And then you can start applying to be an astronaut. Okay. So, or a PhD preferred, you know. If you have a master's, the test pilot school thing, or a PhD, I mean, those are some good credentials to start applying, you know.
Yeah.
You
always want to elevate your chances, right?
Yeah. You need experience, and, you know, it's good to have all these credentials, but you also need the experience. Like, you can't just... Crucial. Yeah, you can't just be like a book nerd. Like, look at all my degrees, but look at my no experience, you know. Like,
yeah.
Do you know in advance, like when the next time they accept applications in the future, or is it just like
they usually just put them out?
Just put them out.
Whenever. I'm considering now since we're gonna be
throughout this whole journey, like, what are some things that you look back on that you're grateful for, like to got you where you are today, right? Because that's that gratitude aspect, you know.
Yeah, I mean.
Couple things, right?
Couple things.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
You didn't lose the shoes on your feet, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the things that got me here, I think of family and friends. I mean, like my buddy Joseph and his family. Like I was saying when we were going through hard times, like his family was always inviting me over for dinner, you know? And it's like little things like that.
That's priceless, bro.
Priceless. Like when I look back on it, I'm like, something that helped me, you know, be able to be successful. It's like, that's one of them. It's like, oh, okay, they gave me a meal. These people care about me, and like my friends care about me and help me. So, like they always believed in me, and like not many of my friends really went to college. So it's like I was always the one. Like even in high school too. Like if all my friends were doing drugs, they were like, no man, like, you can't do drugs. You're gonna be somebody. You're gonna do something like. Right. So I remember like, man, like I wanted to try weed or something, and they were just like, no, dude, like you
slap it out of your hand.
You can't do weed with us, man. Like, you can't, like go stay away, Richard. Like I've been, you know. So I appreciate those little moments like that where people were looking out for me, you know. Yeah. Helping because they knew I wanted to be successful, I wanted to be somebody. So, yeah, I'm grateful for that. Grateful for that teacher who helped me get to college, you know. Random little act of kindness that changed my life. My brothers and my mom for helping me when things were hard and always being there to support me. It was nice. Let's see.
It's not exhaustive. It's those little things, bro.
Yeah, it's the little things. Like when I look back, those are the first things that come to mind. Like,
that's what it is, bro. That was beautiful. Richard, Officer Richard, thanks for being on the podcast, bro.
Thanks for having me, man.
Officer Richard. That was awesome. Bro, I can't wait till you get your jacket, bro. We didn't do another podcast, so you gotta wear the jacket, bro.
Gotta earn that jacket in aviators.
Another what? Year and a half?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, this podcast will be huge by then too, so it'll be. We caught young Richard.
Young Richard.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
We caught young Richard at a certain part of his journey.
Yeah, just a clip.
Just a little glimpse, and we're gonna see where he's going. So.
Yeah, we were talking about what's cool is like about doing these too. I remember thinking about like getting our grandma's story. Is like, this is gonna be like forever. You know what I mean? So like in 10 years from now, bro, when you are an astronaut,
you're gonna have this conversation.
This will be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a cool concept. Like even for like when we talk to our grandma too, it's like when she eventually passes away, bro, it's still gonna be there. You know what I mean? Her story, what she said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna get you back now.
I like your documentary, man. It's cool.
Bro, hi.
Or your Docucast.